It's the moment you didn't know you're waiting for.
He is Carter.
He's Chad.
And this is the Irish 365 podcast.
Chad, this is Lou Holtz. That's head coach of Notre Dame for 11 years. Greatest experience of my life. They're starting a Notre Dame podcast this summer. I have a podcast as well, but it's not about Notre Dame football, although I wish there were. But congratulations on your success. And it would be nice if I could be on your podcast, but my schedule is so hectic. But anything that has to do with Notre Dame, I'm all for it. God bless you. Go Irish.
Welcome into Irish 365, episode 4,
Part 2
of our season preview.
Hi.
That gets us to week 8. You
Yeah.
probably just finished up episode 3. If you happen to stumble upon episode 4 before 3, I highly recommend going back and checking out 3. But appreciate you for those who watched episode 3 coming back to see how we finish this season. Because right now we're undefeated.
We got us at 6-0 halfway through the season.
Headed into week 8.
That's right. Going into week 8.
All right, so let's just jump right into it. Week 8, travel down to Atlanta, Georgia. Mercedes-Benz Stadium take on Georgia Tech. Last year, Georgia Tech finished 7-6. They've got 8 offensive returning starters, 7 defensive returning starters. Very interesting team. A lot of experience. Not for a Georgia Tech team, finished 7-6 last year. Pretty good season. But something to note this year, over-under is only 4.5, which you might think seems low, but they've got the preseason number 9 hardest ranked schedule in the nation.
Okay.
Team averaged 30 points per game last year. Pretty solid number. Problem was they let up 31 points per game last year. They're returning quarterback, top 2 wide receivers, and 1,000-yard rusher. And so this team knows how to put up points. They bring back guys who know to put up points. And for them, they brought in a new defensive coordinator, so they're hoping to solve that 31 points per game problem on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah. But Vegas has got them as a over and under at 4.
4.5.
4.5. All right, so what's their schedule look like? Who are they playing coming into week 8?
So, first game of the college football season in Ireland. They take on Florida State, week 0, preseason top 10.
That's a tough start. I'm going to go Florida State on that one.
All right, week 1 it's going to throw me off. But their second game, Georgia State.
Oh, they got to win that one.
Then they get that's at home. Then they're on the road at Syracuse.
They got to win that one. I think Georgia Tech's better than Syracuse.
Then they've got VMI at home.
They got to win that one.
Then they're on the road in Louisville, Kentucky.
I'm favoring Louisville there.
Then they're at home versus Duke.
They should beat Duke. Duke lost their quarterback. They lost their coach.
Yeah, you would think.
I mean, that's a 4 wins right there.
Yeah, and then they're on the road at North Carolina.
North Carolina's going to have a good defense.
So remember, we're at 4 wins, so this one you're not feeling great either side.
It's kind of a pick 'em for me on this one.
Notre Dame.
They're going to lose.
On the road versus Virginia Tech.
I think they beat Tech.
I don't know what this time of game is, but I would lean Virginia Tech on that one. Then they're at home versus Miami, Florida.
Okay, that's a loss.
And then at home versus NC State.
That's a loss.
And then finish on the road at Georgia Tech, or at Georgia.
Definitely a loss.
So, yeah, you had those 4 games you got to, and then it was kind of like finding that. It's like, yeah, they could win that 5th game against North Carolina. But, yeah, that's having them beat Syracuse, or beating Georgia State, BMI for sure. And then we're like, okay, they should beat Syracuse. They should beat Duke. They should beat North Carolina. And they could beat Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I mean, they could win 6.
They could.
I think that's their ceiling.
Yeah, definitely. That's if they wake up on the right side of the bed that morning and play their best game against those teams.
Now, the question is, how good is Florida State going to be?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a wonderful question. I mean, they lost so many starters.
Yeah.
Obviously, last year, undefeated ACC champs got mopped the floor with and by Georgia, but that was kind of
We'll get into Florida State here in a minute, I guess. Let's not jump ahead too far. So anyway, Georgia Tech, 4 wins. I may take I may fall back to the under on that one here in their schedule. I'm going to go the over. I'm going to think they get 5. I don't know who, but I think they're going to get 5.
I mean, no, I really like this returning team. For a Georgia Tech team, I think, you return 8 offensive starters, 7 defensive starters, and your worst spot was your defense last year. You're bringing a new defensive coordinator. I think they have a lot of hope.
Yeah.
I think this is a team that if they could surprise some people, maybe.
If they win that Florida State game.
Yeah, play Florida State even close. Now, I don't think they beat us, but they could get a Virginia Tech win. It depends on Miami. If Miami's down, they could end up beating them.
Yeah.
Like, theoretically, they can put up some points and they return those guys. So
if they beat Florida State, they got a lot of momentum going into their season. I think it changes things.
I mean, so let's say they get through Florida State, right? That's what we say. They've got that Georgia State game. They've got that Syracuse game. They've got VMI. Next thing you know, and they're playing Louisville, but they're 4-0 already.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's a completely different match.
4-0 with a lot of confidence going into Louisville.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, now, so I think the season goes one or two ways here. If they go out in Ireland and Florida State mops the floor with them, okay, it's probably the same old Georgia Tech. But if they can,
coaches lose the team, and it's going to be hard from there on out.
Yeah, I mean, if they get that win, a lot of confidence in the air for Georgia Tech this year, which is not something we've seen over recent years, at least.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I think Georgia Tech's a better team than people realize.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to stay under on that one.
And I don't have the exact number up right now, but I think I saw that spread for this weekend was like 12.5, which I thought was. I think Vegas is respecting Georgia Tech a little bit too, because I feel like in years past that spread would have probably been 28.5.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have a pick for that one yet. Not a spread pick. I think Florida State will still win the game. I'm not telling you, Georgia Tech's going to beat them, but just think Georgia Tech's a team that'll be interesting to watch.
Well, I'm not sold on DJ Ungala, who's at Florida State. I mean, he was supposed
Let's just get into this. Week 10, we got the bye. Week 11, Florida State.
Yeah,
there we go. Okay.
I like us versus the bye. Let's talk Florida State.
Yep, so DJ, you can get into him now.
All right, because they got DJ. Now, he was the next thing coming. He was the next prodigy, Trevor Lawrence's replacement. He never lived up to that hype.
Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, next quarterback at Clemson, 5-star.
I think he's athletic. I think he's talented. I just don't know, he doesn't put it together. He's not put it together against Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So, how he goes is how Florida State goes. If there's something that Florida State's coaches can do, quarterback coach can do, they could be a very dangerous team. Defense is going to be good. Florida State always has athletes.
We skipped the Navy game, didn't we?
Oh, we did skip Navy. That's week 9.
I'm so sorry, Navy. Let's get. You want to hit Florida State and then go back to Navy?
Let's go Navy. We'll come back.
We'll come back. We've got plenty to talk about Florida State. Week 9, Navy finished last year 5-7. We beat them 42-3. Over/under for Navy's this year 5.5. Games at MetLife. Got an easier start to the season. They've got a nice returning offensive line. Notre Dame leads the season or the total series 81-13-1 all time.
Yeah.
You just want to hop into that Navy schedule? I don't think there's a whole lot to say about.
Yeah, a whole lot of respect to the Navy guys. Yeah. They're going to come. They're going to play hard. They're going to play. They're going to play all 4 quarters. They're going to play to the whistle. I think it's just, they're going to struggle with the size and athleticism disadvantage against the Irish. So it may be close early, but it won't be close late.
All right, but hey, favorable schedule to start. Like I said, at home versus Bucknell.
That's a win for Navy.
At home versus Temple.
That's winnable.
Yep. At home versus Memphis. Should be a winnable game.
That's a winnable game.
On the road at UAB. I think it's a very winnable game.
That is winnable.
On the road at Air Force.
I go Navy, beat Air Force.
Yeah. At home versus Charlotte.
Winnable.
And then got obviously our neutral site versus Notre Dame.
Okay.
So I mean, pretty solid start to the season there for Navy. I mean,
they could come in undefeated. Probably 3-4 wins coming in.
Yeah, that would be my guess. But I mean, there's none of those games you're like, oh, they're going to get their butt kicked. Going like in that one, it's like if teams aren't ready for the triple option, it's going to be a rough day for them, I think. So.
And you, not only do you have to be ready for it, you have to have the scheme, but you have to have the athletes for it.
Yeah.
So I think that's
for
where
4 quarters.
Yeah, and you've got to have the depth of athletes. I I could see them coming in undefeated. I don't think they will.
Yeah, I think it's realistic to say 1 or 2 losses though at that point.
Yeah, I think they come in with just 1 or 2 losses.
So they play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. So maybe a 4-2 Navy team.
I think at worst they're 3-3, and 4-2 is probably realistic.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you like, oh, I think they're going to lose it, but I mean they don't put up a lot of points, right? Like so, it kind of depends how their defense is doing.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna, so, anyways, after us, they've got, and remember that line for them was 5.5.
5.5. Yeah, so they could come in at 4 or 5 wins coming into our game.
Yep.
Again, I think we know how to scheme against the triple option.
Play them every year, definitely.
We understand it. It's not anything that's going to surprise Golden at this point. He showed last year he had a plan.
Yeah.
I think last year we played our more athletic linebackers, and we're more athletic this year than we were last year at linebacker. So I think we're going to contain the defensive line's good. The linebackers are good. We're going to keep Navy in a lot of 3 and outs. So I think that's definitely an all-Irish opportunity there.
Yeah.
So let's just say they come in 4-2 and they leave 4-3.
Yeah.
What do they finish the season like? Because they
on
need 2 wins to get over.
On the road at Rice.
Winnable.
On the road, South Florida.
I
think that's a game they probably lose.
Yeah.
Home versus Tulane.
Winnable.
On the road versus East Carolina.
The Pirates are. That's winnable though.
Yeah, definitely a winnable game.
So I could see him getting the over. I could see him getting the 6 easy.
And then this game, obviously, they finished with the Army at the end of the season, but I don't believe that counts for the win total. I'm not really sure how that one works for Vegas because it's after all those conference championship games, so it's a regular season thing. So I don't know if that game counts, but if it counts, I would definitely be leaning that over.
Yeah. I like Navy over Army.
I definitely like over 5.5 there, though.
Yeah, I'd say go the over. Put them as a lock for the Commander-in-Chief trophy. Let's do it.
Yep. All right, so then we get in that bye week, which is really good because that's how I realized we skipped it. We always talk about after Navy, you want that bye week.
Yeah. Statistically, like, I don't remember what the number is, but 60-70% of the teams who play Navy,
above average amount.
It's more than half the time. You play Navy, you win, you still lose the following week. So having the bye week,
you don't have that bye week.
Having the bye week is huge.
Yeah.
Just again, they're going to come at you for 4 quarters, resting, getting healthy. That's going to be important, especially for the Irish.
Yeah.
Because after we dominate the bye week, what do we got? Florida State.
We're jumping ahead. Obviously, this is the big game of the year. We're excited for it already. Florida State's supposed to be good coming in. We're a little skeptical about it. I think a lot of people don't know what they're going to be.
Yeah.
But high expectations, I think, down in Tallahassee.
Oh, absolutely. And
revenge towards what they're saying, right?
They've got a chip on their shoulder. There's a lot of athletes in Florida, and a lot of them go to Florida State.
Only undefeated conference Power 5 conference champion team did not make the 4-team college football playoff in 10 years or whatever it was. So,
and again, I think DJ's play will be critical to their success and how he plays and how they use him. And he's talented. He's big. He's talented. He's got a lot of upside, but he's not been consistent. So I think that's what makes them interesting. So I could see that team going undefeated coming into Notre Dame, and I don't even know what their schedule looks like.
All right, so last year finished 13-1, losing that bowl game to Georgia. They returned 4 offensive starters, 4 defensive starters, but they did lose 10 guys to the NFL that ended up as draft picks. I mean, what a talented team last year, especially on that defensive side of the ball.
Yep.
They're the favorite to win the ACC this year at plus 260. Obviously, DJ is the quarterback. Over under 9.5 wins this year for the Seminoles. So kind of DJ stats I got up here. So in 2020 he went. So his freshman year at Clemson, that iconic game at Notre Dame, went 29 for 44, 439 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And then 2022 at Clemson, he was at Clemson, 27 for 39, 191 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So, I mean, he hasn't played great watching, but he's put up good stats.
Yeah.
It's kind of my take from it. Like, if you're at the games, you're like, okay, he's made some pretty poor decisions against the Irish, which I think has been schemed for the Irish defense. They've confused him.
Oh, absolutely. We looked at him the last time we played him that he wasn't ready for.
Yeah. So, all right, let's get into this Florida State schedule. obviously week 0 versus Georgia Tech. We both think is a win.
Yep. Sticking with it.
Yep, sticking with that from the Georgia Tech one. I'm not going to flip from that. And then they go home on Monday, September 2nd. So I think that's the holiday. They got Boston College.
That should be a win.
Then I believe they have a bye week, and then they are home versus Memphis.
Should be a win.
Then they've got home versus the California.
Should be a win.
They travel to take on the new ACC opponent, SMU.
Win.
Now, here's where it gets interesting. October 5th, home versus Clemson. It's going to be a battle for that top spot in the ACC.
Yeah, see, I'm not sure about Clemson.
Yeah, I think both these top ACC schools, not many people are sure what they've got this year, right?
And Clemson has been so dominant for the last decade.
Yeah,
they've been consistently, they've been one of the elite programs. They fell off a little bit. You hear Dabo make some comments that they're not going after kids in the portal and this and that and the other. And
yeah,
is Clemson going to rebound? Because a lot of people think they are this year. Are they going to rebound, or are they going to just continue to slide?
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I mean, they've started some years slow, but they've ended up sneaking back into that top 25 by the end of the year. But also with the success they've had, if they have another below average year, I mean, I don't want to be like the hot take person, but like, is Dabo going to be starting to feel a little bit of pressure down there in Clemson?
Dabo, I don't know. Dabo's a darn good coach.
Yeah.
Darn good coach. I mean, they took him from basically obscurity as a coordinator, and they let him be the head coach, and he's done nothing but have success.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the seat gets hot for him.
Yeah.
In just a second year, I don't know what the Clemson faithful's like.
As far as is this the third? I feel like
last year were they down 2 years ago? I know they were down last year, but so if this is the third down year, then maybe it does get a little hot for him.
Yeah.
But I also think
down year was like, I think they finished in like the 23rd, and they just not compete for national championships like they were like
where they were perennial top 4. They were one of the 3 elite programs in the country.
Yeah,
it was
But they lost Mike Venerable like 1 or 2 years ago. Is it? I think this is his 3rd year at Oklahoma.
Okay, so
and it seems like he went off to Oklahoma. He hasn't done great there. But Clemson seemed to lose a little bit of edge after he left, in my opinion.
So I would say Florida State, it'd be my guess, is probably going to win that game.
And if we're looking at the favorites to win the ACC, we're looking at the AP polls, preseason rankings. People are assuming that Florida State is better than Clemson.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
but
it's a pick 'em for me. But let's go Florida State.
Okay, so let's say, would you be surprised this point in the season if both these teams are 500 and that's it? Like,
I'd be
shocked, but like, it could happen. I mean, these teams, I just feel like we know they lost so many things. They've been up and down last couple of years.
Yeah. No, I mean,
I have more faith in Florida State being good at this point in the season than Clemson.
I would agree with that.
But I'm not like so convinced that Florida State's going to be a top 5 team at this point in the season either.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't know. It's just it's a game that could be a top 10 matchup, or it could be a 25 versus an unranked.
Florida State could be coming. Yeah, Florida State they both could be coming in that game undefeated very easily. So I'll go Florida State. I'll give Florida State the nod, and it'll be interesting to see how this season plays out for Florida State.
Yep. All right. Then Florida State travels on the road to Duke.
That's going to be a win.
Then they go on the road to Miami.
See, I think that's an interesting game. I mean, that's in state.
Another ACC school,
Miami,
in the top 20 preseason.
Miami's making a lot of noise. People are big in Miami. Miami's going to have athletes.
Yep.
I think the problem with Miami
probably is a night game.
Yeah, it's at Miami, which is that's an environment. I mean,
when the fans show up, it's an environment.
It's an environment, yeah. But they usually show up for night games. They usually show up for big games. So if
interstate rival,
if Florida State's coming in undefeated and Miami's only got 1 loss or no losses, I expect it to be one heck of an environment. Night game in Miami. I still kind of feel like Florida State's the better team.
Yeah.
But that's just gut feel and media influence. I don't have any solid statistics for that.
All right. Then they are back home again and playing the University of North Carolina.
They should win that game.
So this was an interesting one to me.
But North Carolina's defense is going to be good.
They on the road at Miami, October 26th. home versus North Carolina that November 2nd, and on the road November 9th at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
That North Carolina game's a trap game.
Oh, definitely.
There's no doubt about that. You're at home. It's probably going to be a noon kickoff. You just played Miami, Florida. Like,
win or lose, you're easy to have a letdown, and if you win, it's really easy to look past them and look at Notre Dame.
If they beat that Miami team and they're sitting in the top, I mean, they're already 10 preseason. They might be top 6, top 5 at that point.
Yep.
Getting ready for another potential top 10 matchup or top 5 matchup even.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be circling your calendar.
Carolina
Notre Dame. Yeah, that's
I would be very interested looking at it preseason that's a trap game for Florida State, knowing North Carolina not going to be fantastic, but they're not going to be terrible this year.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have Drake May.
Yeah.
But their defense is going to be solid.
Yeah.
And I don't know what their offense is going to be like, but yeah, North Carolina definitely could sneak up and take one out from Florida State.
Yep.
Which, that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting.
Yeah. Just where that works in the schedule. No bye weeks in there. It kind of just falls right on in there. Seems like a nice, easy game between them, but North Carolina's not a walkover either.
I think it's 70% chance they're gonna come into Notre Dame undefeated, and I think there's the 30% chance they come in with one loss. I don't see them having 2 losses.
Yeah.
But we talked about it. They could come in 500. It wouldn't shock me.
Yeah.
But I think they're undefeated. They're 1 loss.
Yeah. I mean, their schedule's not that tough till they get to Clemson.
Yeah.
So that's right. But anywho, after the Irish on November 9th, they've got Charleston Southern at home, or they got a bye week at Charleston Southern.
Okay, so yeah, they're gonna win. They're gonna win that game.
Yep, and then Florida, another Florida rival. They've got the University of Florida at home.
Yeah, Florida.
So
Florida's just not dominant of late.
So that win total 9.5. You're feeling pretty good about that over then.
I think they're over.
That's 2 losses. Yeah.
Yeah, I think 2 losses is us, possibly Clemson.
Us or Clemson or Miami, Florida is what you're saying.
And Miami. I think they lose to us, and I could see them splitting Clemson and Miami. 3 losses, I think, is kind of I shouldn't say that. I think realistically, they shouldn't have more than 3 losses. Like that.
No,
that should kind
that's
of. That's
why that line's pretty solid, though.
They could lose 5, but I think 3's kind of the floor. And
from what knowledge we have coming into the season, I think 3's obviously injuries, you never know. But I would take them at 9's definitely their floor right now.
Yeah, it feels like it. So yeah, I would be comfortable taking the over on that one.
You think, they get one of those, Clemson or Miami, Florida?
Yep.
And that Clemson one's at home. So, so let's kind of get in ticket price. Obviously, this game's sold out on UND.com. Looks like SeatGeek 300 plus for this game. I mean, people are expecting this to be a top 5 matchup, right? Like,
yeah.
The only game they've got before us is Clemson. Obviously, we talked about that. All right, they've got Clemson and Miami before us. So if they beat both those teams, they're top 5.
Oh yeah.
At this point in the season, I think if we're undefeated, we're probably top 6, top 5 too.
Yeah, and what sets up nice for us is this is a Week 11 game. It's later in the season.
Yeah, we've got stuff figured out.
We could have a little colder weather, a little less favorable for the Florida State crowd. Now I think they're still considered Central Florida, although when I look at the map, I think of Tallahassee as Northern Florida. But so they get a little bit of cooler weather there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it sets up nice for us. I think we're going to be in a good spot. We're going to be rolling. Whatever Denbrock's going to bring to the table offensively, he's going to know our identity, what we're good at, what our strengths are. He's going to scheme for that. So, yeah, I really feel good about the Irish in that game. In fact, I think I've said it before that I'm more concerned about Game 1 versus A&M than I am about Week 11 at Florida State at home. Even though I think Florida State's a better team, I just think A&M's a little bit of a tougher challenge for us going into that environment and not having our solid line. Again, I think our offensive line is going to be gelled by that point. So, yeah, I like us versus Florida State.
Yeah, the Irish have won 3 straight against the Seminoles. But Florida State does lead the series 6-5 all time. That kind of surprised me as a younger fan. I just always heard about this Notre Dame Florida State rivalry. I was always just thinking it was probably in that 20 to 30 range where they've only played 11 times for being bigger rivals.
Yeah, in the 90s, Bobby Bowden and Lou Holtz going back and forth, and it was a fairly young rivalry.
Yeah,
so they were game of the century 2 years in a row.
Right, just one of those things that surprised me. I just assumed we probably played in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and that's why it built up for that big 90s rivalry. But no, so 11 times only, so that kind of surprised me. But anyways, all right, so I believe that puts us Week 12.
Virginia.
Senior Day, correct?
Yes, and love Senior Day.
Yep. At home versus Virginia. Virginia last year finished 3-9. 14 returning starters, 8 on offense, 6 on defense. Familiar name, though, for Notre Dame fans. They add Chris Tyree in the transfer portal.
The Jet.
Yep. Team that's, I think, got some coaches on the hot seat this year. They've got 3 wins, last 2 years. They returned the same head coach and the same offensive defensive coordinator for the 3rd straight year. Just really not a program that's seems like they're on the up and up. You think at this point a coach is pretty much on the hot seat, right? They've won 3 games the last 2 years.
Yeah.
You think they'd be firing an offensive defensive coordinator, not having much going for them. Seems like it's a sinking ship over there, is my opinion.
Well, yeah. So the question is at Virginia. I know basketball is important at Virginia. How important is football?
Yeah.
Is it a situation where, hey, they're getting all this TV money coming in?
Yeah.
They just have to be competitive.
Yeah.
And have good character kids. Like, is that simply it?
Yeah, I'd sure hope not. I hope they're trying to at least make a bowl game every year.
Yeah,
right?
you would hope if they're going to play to win.
Sell some tickets.
But yeah, I mean, play to win if you're going to play. But so, yeah,
Yeah, so we'll kind of get. Yeah, you got any more things on that?
I think I think it'll be good for the Irish. I mean,
should be a good senior day.
I don't expect it to be close. I expect us to get some some older guys who didn't get a lot of minutes in but are talented and have stuck with us, opportunities to play. So yeah, it'll be a good day. If you ever get a chance, I've said it before. If you ever get a chance to go to a senior game, it's a little cooler because it's late in the season.
Yeah.
But it's always just a good environment, kind of a celebration of those guys that have been with the program for multiple years and are on their way out, and and hopefully we're celebrating what is a really successful season going into that point.
Yeah, we're feeling good. College football playoff hopefully about locked at that point.
Yep.
Anyway, so over under for Virginia this year 4.5. And just remember 3 wins those last 2 seasons.
Ooh, 4.5. I hate these. Let's go. What do they look like?
At home versus Richmond.
I'm going to give them that because I know nothing about the Spiders.
But it's a spider. They might be scared of them.
That's right. The tangled web they weave.
All right. On the road at Wake Forest.
This isn't the Sam Hartman Wake Forest. So,
yeah. I'm going to lean Wake Forest on that one.
Yeah, I think Wake Forest is still
give it to the home team, right?
Yeah.
Versus Maryland.
I'm going to go Maryland.
At Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, they should win. They should win that one, but Coastal Carolina's
defense.
They're not a slouch.
Yeah,
they're not a slouch.
Versus Boston College.
I like BC.
Versus Louisville.
Definitely like Louisville.
At Clemson.
Gonna go Clemson.
Versus North Carolina.
Gonna go North Carolina.
At Pitt.
That's more of a pick 'em for me, but I'm gonna go Pitt.
At Notre Dame.
That's a loss.
Versus SMU.
Loss.
At Virginia Tech.
I'm at the point here. That's a pick 'em for me as well. So
I think 3 years of 3 straight wins is going to be a pretty solid number there. So I'm taking the under for that 4.5. Mark.
Yeah, I'm hearing the schedule, thinking about it. I'm with you. It's an under.
Yeah, I have no faith in Virginia whatsoever.
So Virginia coming into Notre Dame is going to have no reason to get excited and think they can win that game.
Yeah.
If the coach is able to get them excited and think they can win this game, he's a much better coach than going 3 wins in a row, 3 years in a row. That's all I can say. I don't know what he's doing.
I'm very happy this game is senior day because all the guys want to win senior day. They're all fired up for this one.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because this is a team
want to win for seniors.
This is a game that really is a Notre Dame. Like, it's hard to get motivated for this game. Like, if you play this middle of the road, this team is just levels below you.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I'll give Notre Dame credit. They have done better at that the last few years. Like playing their standard against weaker competition. We've seen some blowouts that we typically have not seen in years past.
In the last couple of years, absolutely.
And that's not even like a mark. I feel like even at the end of that Brian Kelly era, we started to see that a little bit more. So it's not. I'm not saying like.
Yeah, and I feel like from just an Irish fan standpoint, it's the last 2 decades we've played down the level of our competition, or we've played up the level of our competition.
Yeah.
And the last couple of years, again, into the Brian Kelly era, we started seeing it turn the corner, and Marcus has kept that going.
Yeah.
So, I like us playing to our level. The standard is the standard. We play to the standard, and We don't let down because we're playing lesser. So yeah, I'm hoping to see us put up a lot of points, get some young guys, especially on the offensive side. I'd love to see this be a game where we get Angeli and Minchie and maybe even Carr some reps and some opportunities to show their goods.
Yeah, because if you don't remember, you can use 4 games now in college football before you redshirt. So
before you lose your redshirt.
It's not like whereas like you played one play, you lost your redshirt eligibility. It's you got 4 games, so
and we've got to figure that out.
Yeah,
like at that point, we got to figure out who's going to be the starter next year.
Yeah,
whether it's going to be whether it's going to be Angeli, whether it's going to be Minchie, whether it's going to be Carr. Like we have to figure that out. And if we're not trying to figure it out late in the year when games are no longer in doubt.
Yeah.
Because at that point Riley Leonard's thinking national championship and he's thinking I'm going to the NFL.
Yeah.
So there's no point in keeping him playing late. So yeah, I think that's one of those good games. We should get to see our depth and whether it's running back. I mean, corners. We got some young corners that are high on. We got defensive. Hopefully we'll get some of those guys and see that depth. And the other thing is we got to get that backup. We got to get that depth outside of quarterback. You got to get that depth ready if you're going to make a national championship run.
Oh, yeah, because you never know. Someone's going to get hurt in that CFP, right?
You've got to have depth to get through the CFP.
Hate to say it, but, it's a 4-game It's a 4-game sprint.
Yes.
And it's not a marathon. It's a sprint at that
4-game sprint at the end of the season after a long season.
You've already played 12.
I think, and it's one of those things we can talk about it after we get through these games, but I think Marcus Freeman is looking holistically at the university and the team. And I think he's thinking, how do I manage a longer season? How do I manage? So, I think we'll see a lot more of the young guys. And I think it's good because 5-star recruits, 4-star recruits, they want to go where you can win a national championship, and they want to go where they can play.
Right.
And
you're going to need more depth now more than ever.
Unless they're an offensive lineman, they're not willing to set for 2 years before they get on the field. And we're starting to see that change even. So, yeah, I like the Virginia game. I like it for where it fits in the schedule. It's a nice way to end the home season. And then we have some fun last couple games.
So let's just get into so tickets available for that Virginia game. Quite a bit left when I was looking. $65 get in for right in front of the Jumbotron. Both end zones up high. Then $80 lower bowl. So $80 gets you down in that lower end zone for Notre Dame game. Can't beat that. SeatGeek right now $70, but this one's a tough one because it could be cold. Ticket prices could drop, but it's also Notre Dame's undefeated, top 5 team in the nation. People want to see them at that point. Last chance at home. So definitely a game. If you don't mind waiting, I do think waiting on would be what I would do. Because those ticket prices might drop close to that game time if it is a cold, snowy day.
Yeah.
In South Bend, because at that point we're in November.
If there's a chance of flurries.
Yeah.
It could drop prices.
What was it? 2 years ago, we were at a senior day where it snowed, and that was awesome.
Yeah,
I think it was 2 seasons. Yeah, not last year, the year before. So
2 seasons ago. Yeah,
2021.
21.
Yeah, that was.
It was 22. It was 22 when it snowed.
22.
Senior day.
Yes, 22. 2022. Snowed senior day. That was a great time. Anyways, though, we kind of get in another one of those games where we should see some young guys by the end. Week 13, we travel out to the iconic Yankee Stadium for a night game.
Shamrock Series.
Yes.
A
lot of hype against that Army team. Army last year finished 6-6, but they won 4 straight games to end the year. 4 offensive returning starters, 3 defensive returning starters. Notre Dame leads the all-time series at 39-8-4. Interesting stat for you. Notre Dame is 2-0 at the new Yankee Stadium and 15-6-3 at the old. So Notre Dame's played some games there at Yankee Stadium, but the new one undefeated. Army enters the American Conference, and their over/under this year is at 6.5 games.
Okay. All right. So they're going to be a good team.
Yeah.
They're going to be a good team.
Be right around that 500 mark.
And I think it's the same MO as what you're going to talk about when you talk about playing the Navy team. You're going to get 4 quarters, play to the whistle. Yeah. They're not going to give up. They're going to be undersized, a little less athletic, but they're going to bring it to you the entire time.
Yep.
Fortunately, they don't run the triple option the way Navy does, and it's not the relentless pounding that you're going to get. But they're going to bring it to you. So, what's their schedule look like? How do they stack up coming in? 6.5 is the over/under. So
6.5 is that number. So they start on a Friday night, next Friday, August 30th, versus Leahy at home.
I'll go Army.
Sounds like a good one to me. Travel the next week all the way down to Florida Atlantic.
Probably Florida Atlantic.
Yep. At home the following bye week, then at home versus Rice.
I think they got Rice. I think they're better than Rice.
Travel on the road to face Temple. Leading Temple on that one for me.
Yeah, that's a kind of a pick 'em, but I'm gonna say loss.
Yeah, then they travel to Tulsa.
Tulsa, I think they beat Tulsa. I'm gonna pick them on the win on Tulsa.
At home versus UAB.
They can win that one.
At home versus East Carolina.
Again, East Carolina's kind of a they're going to lose to East Carolina. I think they lose to East Carolina.
Then they've got a bye week, and then at home versus the Air Force.
All right.
I'll take Army versus Air Force.
Yeah, I think Army over Air Force in this case.
Travel on the road all the way down to North Texas to face North Texas.
Loss. I think North Texas is going to be better than that.
And then we got Yankee Stadium versus Notre Dame.
Obviously, I feel that's a loss.
And then at home versus UTSA.
I think they got UTSA.
Is their last regular season game. And then obviously they finished December 14th. Not sure if this counts for the over-under like we said before against the Naval Academy.
So that really, I'm kind of putting them at 6 is where I'm putting them at.
Yeah.
So if you don't count the Naval Academy game, they're going to lose Naval Academy. I think Navy wins that one.
Yeah.
So
you're going under then?
I'm going to go under.
I'll go against. Yeah, I'll go over. It's just such a. There's winnable games in there. I think
there are some winnable games, but
yeah,
I don't feel it right now. As we sit here today, I don't feel like they got 6.
So I'm just gonna go Army. We'll go hit your over. So no rhyme or reason. Just all those. If I don't feel like there's any games, I'm like they're gonna get blown out. And you know what I mean? They're all just gonna be good football games.
Yeah.
If you like watching some running.
Yeah, and hey, I mean, one of my bucket list games is to get to an Army Navy game.
Yeah.
Like that is on my bucket list. Yep. I want to go see those two teams play. Not this year, but I'm going to make it one of these years.
Hey, Notre Dame's not playing December 14th.
Well, maybe this year I'll find a way. But yeah, that's one of those bucket list games. So tons of respect to the Naval Academy teams, the Naval Academy players. So yeah,
FedEx Field this year, so that's Washington. Definitely don't want to go to FedEx Field. I've heard terrible things about it. So
yes.
Not this year.
Yes. They got to find a better place to play.
Yeah.
When are they in Maryland again?
Yeah. No kidding. We'll wait. Yeah, we'll wait for that here. All right. So that ends. Technically, it's on NBC. It's a home game for the Irish, but ends the home slate theoretically for NBC. Last game of the year on NBC there.
Yep.
Week 14 could be a big one. It's going to mean a lot. It's a rivalry game. The new Big Ten opponent, don't forget it.
Yes.
USC.
Yeah, and I think USC is such an interesting animal this year.
Yeah.
And if they're not good this year, does the Lincoln Riley seat get hot?
Yeah.
And
I'll be interested. I think I could see a scenario where Colorado has a half decent year, USC has a half decent year, and USC's calling up Deion Sanders to get him out to Southern California.
Well,
they're just going to try to hire some big name, and I've seen the rumors for it. I'm like, USC is probably dumb enough to try to do that.
And I can see it because as Sanders' son,
Showtime.
As Sanders' son goes to the NFL, is he going to have a desire to stay in Colorado and coach? Yeah. I don't know. So that'll be interesting. But let's not predict that one.
Yeah, we're not going for that one yet. But just interesting thing to ponder about. But obviously, new Big Ten team. They are projected to finish 5th in the Big Ten. Finished 8-5 last year. Only 3 offensive returning starters and 4 defensive returning starters. And I found this interesting. That over/under set at 7.5, and they've got projected to finish 5th in the Big Ten.
Wow. So
yeah,
it's going to take more than 7 wins to be in the top of the
top 5.
Top 5, yeah.
That Big Ten.
But I can see that. I mean, the Big Ten's going to be
the
top end's going to be heavy.
So obviously got that new quarterback, Miller Moss, I believe, is who their starting quarterback is. But really, the question comes down to their offense. I think will be fine. Whoever is leading the quarterback, Lincoln Riley's
Lincoln Riley's a quarterback guy.
with the quarterback. Yeah. Last year they finished 117th in points per game allowed. I don't know what college football is currently at, but I know it's that 130, 140 total team. So if that
they're at the bottom of the
a team of that caliber should not be that low. But so I think that's the question: can they play any defense whatsoever?
Well, but Lincoln Riley had a lot of success in the Big 12, where you don't play defense. But you put corners in the NFL, but you don't play defense.
I think will be an interesting thing in the Big Ten. So if their defense is terrible, but they're playing Iowa, who can't move the ball, or like a Big Ten offense is trying to run the ball, Big Ten offenses aren't going to put up that many points. So their lack of defense, is it going to be something's got to give there, right? Their defense is either going to not let up as many points per game, or the Big Ten offense are going to start putting up more points on them. I don't know which yet.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out, because
I don't have an opinion on it really. I'm just like,
because the Pac style of play is much different than the Big style of play.
Yeah,
I mean,
and USC they can't just adjust like.
No, you got to recruit. You got to, I don't know, with NIL and transfer portal and everything else. Maybe you can go get the guys you want.
I think they have the same defensive coordinators last year, so I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, how do they look coming into Notre Dame?
All right. Week 1, Sunday game. So September 1st. I believe this one's a neutral site in Las Vegas versus LSU.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I think that's an L coming out of the gate. I feel better about LSU coming in.
And USC comes in preseason ranked 23 in that AP poll. So yeah, lost to LSU. Probably knocks them out of the AP poll right off the bat.
It's not good for the Irish, but I think that's a tough opening game for them.
Yeah, definitely not an ideal spot. Then they get a little bit easier, but 6 days, and it's an 11 p.m. Local, so they got that Big Ten at night now. Not that Pac-12 after dark. It's that Big Ten at night.
All right.
Game versus Utah State.
Yeah, they're going to beat Utah State. They rebound from week 1. They get the win.
Then they travel all the way out to the Midwest for a battle against Michigan.
Yeah, see, I don't know about Michigan. I'm not sold on Michigan.
Preseason number 9, yeah.
I mean,
they're going to be physical, though.
They're going to be physical. I'm assuming USC will probably lose that game. Michigan's probably going to use that.
I think Michigan 14+, and I hate saying that, but that's going to – I can't wait to be on Twitter that week, by the way, to see all the Notre Dame fans, because we've never seen a Michigan versus – USC – who's the hate talk going to be? We're going to be. I know there's going to be some people hate watching that game big time.
Yeah, I feel like as an Irish fan though, we respect both programs.
Oh yeah.
We just respect USC a little more.
Yeah,
and it's proximity, right? Because we
don't hear many USC.
I don't run
fans
into as many USC fans on a daily basis. I don't see USC shirts.
It just
as I do
just
Michigan
a new
shirts.
one. Like you don't. We haven't seen these two play, and it's gonna be. I'm gonna be honest. It's gonna be weird seeing this in a regular season game.
It is. It is.
Like,
is this the Rose Bowl? No, it's not the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
This is just the third week of the season.
Yeah, but just week 3 college football.
Yeah. So I again,
I'm on Michigan on this one.
I'm
14+. There's
Michigan,
my bold take.
Michigan. All right, that's the hot take for the day. Got it.
Yep. And then they are at home versus Wisconsin.
I like them versus Wisconsin.
Traveling back out to the Midwest though. You got Minnesota. At Minnesota. Game they should win.
Yeah, they should win.
That's their second time out in 3 weeks to the Big Ten country.
And I think that's going to be the interesting thing is how this travel schedule of the Big Ten does or doesn't impact teams.
Yeah.
So
are we looking too much into it? Maybe.
It may not be that big of a deal.
Yeah. They've got smart people figuring it out, I'm sure.
Yeah, they're working on it. So, I'm going to give them the win there against Minnesota.
Back home in Southern California versus Penn State.
See, that's an L. I think Penn State's going to be good this year, so that's an L.
Travel out to the East Coast to face Maryland.
Unless they get jet lag, that's a W.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. You're at home versus a new Big Ten opponent, Penn State, and then you got to travel all the way across the country a week later to face Maryland. So, I mean, it's a game they should win, but it's hard to say on that. Then they're at home versus Rutgers.
That's a win.
Yep. Then they travel up north a little bit to Washington.
I like Washington.
Yeah, you're with it. Yeah, I mean, Washington's got a lot, new coach, new everything. I'm gonna lean USC on that one. I'll be honest.
Okay, well, we'll split.
Yep. Then they're at at home versus Nebraska, or bye week, then at home versus Nebraska.
I think they're going to beat Nebraska.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Travel down the state lines to go play UCLA.
I like USC better than UCLA in that game.
Yep, and then finish up the year at home versus the Irish.
And obviously, I'm pro-Irish, so that's going to be a loss. But I've got them at 6. You got them at 7.
Yeah, I mean that's
right there.
As a team that's projected, a reminder, 5th in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I think it comes down because you got a new quarterback.
Yeah,
you've got a coach that's finished the season off less than desired last year. You're going to play a tough home opener or tough season opener against LSU, and if LSU comes out and beats you,
and that could be a game LSU wins by 2 or 3 scores.
That could have a really big negative impact on the rest of the season.
I think this is a very similar game. Like, I don't think LSU's probably that much better than USC, but I think LSU probably has more figured out coming into the season than USC does.
Oh, definitely.
So if that game's week 4, it's probably a closer game than it is week 1. I think LSU's probably just got less question marks than USC does coming. And I know LSU does have a new quarterback as well because Jaden Daniels left.
They got a new quarterback. They got a new offensive coordinator. Yeah. But Brian Kelly is the
defense should be good this year.
Brian Kelly's an offensive-minded coach. He thinks of himself as a quarterback guru. They don't have a slouch at quarterback and backup position.
Yeah.
And, they're not going to be coming in completely blind. So I think it favors LSU. And I think that could, after the way, I think Notre Dame broke Caleb Williams last year.
Yeah.
And that kind of, they kind of, I felt like USC slid a little bit after that game. And
most definitely.
And I think that they need a win here. They need a win against LSU. And if they don't get it, I think they could slide. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's a tough schedule.
They're not going to come in to the Notre Dame game with playoff hopes but there may be enough Notre Dame hate coming in that they just it's a home game. They just want to beat Notre Dame because it's Notre Dame.
And on a high note, ruin our playoff hopes.
Yeah, hey, we can't win, but let's screw it up for those guys. So, but I like the Irish in that one.
Yeah.
I know that LA can have a lot of Irish contingent in the Coliseum. Yeah. So I think there's so much to do in LA. I don't know how many people are going to show up for a four-loss USC team versus Notre Dame.
Potentially a 5-6 USC team, 6-5 USC team coming in. Right?
Yeah, I mean, if they've got 4 or 5 losses coming into that game,
we don't know. Like, their quarterback's not a big name yet. Miller, they could be hating Lincoln Riley at this point. I don't know.
Unless we've got it wrong and they come in undefeated, I don't see that. I think it leans Notre Dame. I think it's gonna be an interesting game.
Yeah,
I'm excited to be there and see it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's gonna be fun.
Definitely one we've had circle about doing this for a long time. Going out to LA Coliseum, getting this. I mean, and genuinely, I feel like Notre Dame and USC being interesting. Honestly, early 2000s, USC was really good. And they kind of fell off a little bit, and Notre Dame got hot. And then it's kind of been Notre Dame's been hot. I want Notre Dame and USC both to be good. I would love to see that rivalry.
It's a great rivalry when it's. I mean,
both are top 10 teams every single year.
Oh yeah, when you go back to the Brady Quinn Bush. I mean, just epic game. People still talk about it.
Right.
I mean, it's one of those things.
Definitely would like to see this rivalry where it's both teams are hot at the same time, and it's a top 10 matchup every year.
Yeah. And hey, if I've got to pick someone to win the Big Ten, I'd rather pick USC than Michigan or Ohio State.
Yeah,
just honest.
Definitely.
If someone's got to win the Big Ten, I could live with USC being that guy.
Yeah. So. Again, it's where we're at though. We're not hearing too many USC fans. They're not on our social media pages. Yeah. We see a lot of Michigan and Ohio State.
I have conversation and I have interaction with USC fans, and I like those people.
Yeah,
they're not annoying. So yeah, but I think the Irish set up well. I think it'll be an interesting way to finish the season for Notre Dame, and what should be us basically cementing ourselves, hopefully, in the top 5.
Yeah, that number 5 spot really.
Yeah, and that's what we want to be. We want to be the 5 seed. We can't be 1 through 4, but we want to be a 5 seed. And I think if we go in undefeated, and I thought about this a little bit. It's okay, what's the reality? I feel like we can go undefeated this season. I also feel like our schedule, some of the games that we think are going to be hard are easier than what we expect.
Oh.
And some of the games that we think are going to be easy going in turn out to be harder than we expect.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely some teams in there. It's like they could be halfway decent. And if they get a couple wins before us, like no one really thought that Louisville team was going to be fantastic last year, but they got a couple wins coming in before us, and they were feeling confident, and they came out and showed everyone what's up.
I hate to say it, but Georgia Tech's one of those teams. I don't expect them, but Georgia Tech is a team that's it's got enough going in the right direction.
They get a few of those momentum games right before us, and they're feeling pretty confident coming in, and that'll be a game that's on national television for them.
So it'll be interesting, and I think for us, the Irish go undefeated as we predict. Then we're looking at that, hopefully 5th seed or 6th seed, maybe it depends on how they finish. We talked about this in episode 2 a little bit about the seeding of the college football playoffs, but I think we're a 5 or 6 seed. I think that sets up well. That's a home game for us.
In
the first round of the playoff, and then a home game in December is something to be excited about. Is all I can say. That'll be fantastic. It'll be
give us a warm weather team and let it snow.
Yeah, let's go. I mean, 32 in flurries, and we're going to be happy.
Yep.
So, all right.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Irish 365 podcast.
You can find us wherever you get your podcast.
We are on YouTube, X, Instagram, and Facebook.
Just search for Irish 365 Pod.
And you can always reach us at our email, irish365pod@gmail.com.
Good night.
And God bless.